Everybody.
Hi there.
We're just waiting a couple minutes. We had a really good response. We're just waiting a couple minutes to get, while everybody else logs in. We'll get started here in just a minute. I see some more people coming on, so I want to give them a chance before we get started. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with just some meeting rules, as if we've not done this before, but just as a reminder. I'm Julie Wagner-Fiesel, the Vice President of Communications here, and we have this set up as a meeting. So after both Lance and Emma do the presentation, I have some things to say, but we can open it up for some questions. The goal is to go about a half an hour here with the information that we have for our local chambers, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff and want to help us promote vaccine clinics in your neck of the woods. And then I will also be sending this out. We are recording this, and I will be emailing it to all of you, plus our other local chamber members who were not able to attend, along with, we have a handout, a legal handout that one of our members wrote about the legalities of employers suggesting vaccines or hosting vaccine clinics. And I'll be sending those out, as well as a link to our latest Ohio Matters publication that has additional information about the pandemic and vaccines. So with that, I think, Lance, are you going to start us off today, or is Emma going to go first? I have Lance Himes. He's the Deputy Director for the Department of Health, the Ohio Department of Health, and Emma Cardone. She's the Director of Stakeholder Relations from Governor DeWine's office, and they're going to be our presenters today. So thanks everybody for tuning in. So Lance, are you going to kick us off?
Yes. Thank you so much, Julie, and thanks to everybody from the local chambers joining our call today. We're really excited to share with you an expansion of vaccine availability and some resources that we've put together to hopefully increase uptake and availability of vaccine to many of your members and businesses throughout Ohio. So I'll start out with a kind of a high-level overview of where we are in the vaccine distribution rollout, and then Emma will follow on with some additional details about our program to target and make vaccines available to businesses. So certainly many of you, as you know, COVID-19 and the vaccination rollout has been in the news on a daily basis. You've probably been inundated. We started out with very limited supplies of vaccine, but now we're really at a point where we have increasing supplies, and actually we've seen some decreasing demand. So we're able now to provide vaccines to support events and clinics that are targeted to specific groups, whether those are equity groups trying to seek out and vaccinate folks with minorities or racial ethnicities, different groups like that. But we can also help to provide vaccine for businesses or other affinity groups, churches, other nonprofits. So we wanted to talk with you today about how that could work and really answer your questions that you've got. In terms of overall vaccinations, currently, I think as of today, we're at 4.4 million Ohioans have had first doses. That's 38% of our population. In terms of second doses or completed doses that we call them, 27.5%, and it's 3.2 million Ohioans have had their second dose. So we've got about 11.7 million total, and not all of those people are eligible. Currently, the Pfizer vaccine is eligible for age 16 and up, and the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are eligible, approved for 18 and up. So we're not really counting those under 16 in terms of that overall number, but we do anticipate that ages 12 to 15 may be approved by the FDA in the coming weeks for the Pfizer product. So really our focus now is to seek out and support those businesses and other nonprofits, other organizations that can get some organizational structure around a clinic. And we've organized with partners who are enrolled vaccine providers. Those could be hospitals, local health departments, pharmacies, even medical offices. We've got many signed up and willing to partner with businesses and other entities to provide this type of service. So really excited to be here today to talk with you a little bit more about that, and then to answer any questions you've got. And really the focus is to make it convenient and easy. We know that not everybody works jobs that they can take time off and go stand in line or go to a different type of location for a vaccine. So an on-site aspect is really a factor that we tried to work into this also, and that depends on the provider. But with that, I will turn it to Emma to provide a little bit more detail. Thank you.
Thanks, Lance. Great overview on the kind of the state of play of vaccines here in Ohio. And like Lance said, we're kind of moving into a ground game here. I was talking to someone from one of the baseball teams, and they said a really good metaphor, which was the mass vac sites for a while there. Those were the grand slams, your home runs, where you're pulling a lot of people in. But now we're into a phase where we're hitting singles. We're just trying to get on base. And these clinics that are popping up that we can set up through through churches, through businesses, through chambers, which is why we're talking to you all today. We know is going to be a great strategy in trying to get that number, that vaccine started, that middle number there up a little higher. And so I can kind of walk through the process of how to go about setting up a vaccine clinic. It's very easy. And then we'll go ahead and take some questions and walk through kind of where we hopefully see the chambers playing a role on the ground here moving forward. So really it's as simple as finding a partner, setting a date, and vaccinating. So if you are a chamber and you are interested in hosting a clinic for your members, for the folks in your community, especially in the more rural communities where we know that the hesitancy is real, and they're going to trust the people that they know, and you have these relationships. So we really do encourage you guys to work together and set these up. But all you really got to do is find a provider. We've built this provider partners list. It is a comprehensive list of providers who have raised their hand and said, yes, I'd love to partner with people in my community. But if there is an eligible partner out there that's not on the list, you are more than welcome to work with them as well, because that list is growing every day. And if you can't find a provider partner, reach out to me. We're setting up a team to kind of do some hands-on process for finding and matching employers and chambers to provider partners. Again, trying to make this as easy and simple for you all as possible to help get shots in arms. And then from there, really, it is a provider-driven process. The doses get handled by the provider. The data collection, the actual shots and arms are all done by the providers. Really, all that is asked of the business community when this is get us some bodies, bring us people. The providers, who are really fantastic to work with. I've been blown away at how amazing they are. In fact, I just went and got my second dose yesterday, and they were so fun, so kind. They took pictures with me that I sent to my mom of me getting my second dose, and they were so great. And so really it's a provider-driven process from there, and it's as easy as you could possibly imagine. And then from there, you just vaccinate, right? It's share your stories. We want to hear about what you're doing. If you're doing a local chamber event, let us know. We want to hear about it. So that's as simple as you can possibly make it. And again, you're going to want to survey your people as well. We try and gather an estimate of how many people you think you'll vaccinate, just so that we don't over allocate doses. But really, it's okay to kind of guess on that one as well. So that is, I mean, that's as simple as I can make it. We can kind of go into some questions from there around exactly how we want to do this and how we think of playing a role. This is just a quick slide on why we think it's great to do this. I think folks, anybody who's willing to join the call might understand that. And I just accidentally zoomed past the resources page, but we have a number of resources that we will send out as well. We have a web page up that we will share with you all that has a toolkit, a communications toolkit to help educate folks on why it's important to get the vaccine, some guidance on how to set these up for both providers and employers, contact information, anything you could possibly think of that you guys might need to do this. So I'll stop yammering on and open this up for questions because I think that we might have some. Julie?
And Emma, do you want to bring that resource? Can you bring that resource screen back up? And if anyone wants to type in a question in the chat or take yourself off mute, because we have this in a meeting set up, so you can take yourself off mute if you would like to ask any questions. Just talking about this in the office, we were trying to brainstorm ideas for our local chambers to get involved in helping the vaccine distribution. If you have a business park in your area, that, you know, there are a couple different businesses, if they could be a host of a vaccine clinic for all the employees in that business park, or and not just employees, but their family members that would qualify, or people in the area that would want to come to this business park to participate in a vaccine clinic, that would be great. Or a large office building, or if you have a facility like a meeting room in your own chamber headquarters that you would want to host a vaccine to. The goal here is to get, you know, as many shots in arms as possible, because we want to eradicate this. And here at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, we have been advocating for Ohio businesses to open and to open fully. And one of those ways is to stop the spread. We're part of the coalition to stop the spread. And we are advocating that as many people as possible get the vaccine so that we can truly stop the spread and open up our businesses fully. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Julie, this is Holly Quain with the Delaware Area Chamber of Commerce. Hi, yep. Good to see
Hi.
you. So we're holding a clinic on, well, the week of May 3rd. And for those on the call who haven't taken the first step for this, some of the things that I'm learning along the way that are pitfalls are the logistics of holding a clinic and getting those. So first you need to find a location, and just as you suggested, that's just what we found. We had a member who has a commercial park with an empty facility, and he was willing to turn that over to us. So we originally started out with our industrial park because those are thousands of employees in the park. But what we're finding is, what the health department needs is numbers. How many, and the problem is the health department doesn't know exactly when they don't know today that on May 8th they're going to have X amount of doses, and they often don't know that until 48 hours before the clinic. And the other side of it, folks are hedging their bets, signing up for the vaccine and then finding it earlier. And so that has been our biggest issue. We really thought we'd have huge numbers. And what we're finding is a lot of our employers who probably a month ago could have used a clinic are saying, yeah, our folks are finding them. And what I'm finding is that people are either driving to Findlay for it, or they got it easily through their provider. So the biggest issue for us is getting that number to the health department and having folks hold firm on it, because people really are hedging their bets with, you know, they'll say, yeah, I'll be part of it, and then they're at Walgreens this afternoon. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, Lance, can you address those issues, or Emma?
Yeah, no, I'll start out and thanks so much for sharing what you're working on in your area. I think that's right. We have seen that with greater availability, some employers are finding that their employees have been able to get it. Really, the numbers that we're looking for, and it'll depend on the provider, the vaccine partner, whether it's a health department or pharmacy. But I've been on calls recently where before they would try to plan for a clinic, like you said, with a lot of people, hundreds of people, but we know that now is not probably realistic. So I've talked to partners who said, yeah, they'll go out if it's less than 50 people, but as long as they have kind of that solid sign up so they know how much vaccine to bring, so it doesn't get wasted at the end of the day, it can only stay refrigerated for so long before it expires, depending on the vaccine. So really, if you can encourage folks to commit and to provide solid numbers, that is critical for the success of the clinics. And like you said, finding a good location is also a key point. I've heard some reports about partners that had a business partner and they didn't want to hold it on their company property, but they found a community center that they co-hosted with the local health department, a clinic, and they took reservations for a week or two in advance for the business. And then the leftover appointments that they had, they opened it up to the public, and it actually worked out very well. This was up in Lorain County with a company, and they said that they got a lot of employees vaccinated and their family members and public were also able to come too. So that's a different kind of model, that it can be completely closed for the employees only for the company, or it could be something more community wide, depending on how you want to structure it.
Anyone else? Thanks, Holly. Holly and I share a Department of Health, and we've had several large vaccination clinics for our teachers and educators, and now we're doing students in our neck of the woods. So we're hosting them at schools. So
our Leadership Delaware class this year, one of their projects is to volunteer at a clinic, and today is one day, and then they're doing it again next week. So as we speak, our Leadership Delaware class is volunteering at Source Point.
Oh, excellent. Source Point is our senior citizen
right.
Center there.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Anyone else have any questions about how you can either promote vaccination clinics in your area, or hosting, or getting one of your members to host? It is really nice PR when you can say the XYZ company, is hosting this vaccination clinic today to help, get businesses open, or to help us return to a much more normal Ohio. So think of it in those terms as well. Any other questions?
Julie, this is Lydia Hess from the Logan County Chamber in Bell Fountain. Wondering about the time commitment. So if I'm approaching businesses, I'm sure it depends on the number of people that are being vaccinated, but is there like a standard per minute time that is allotted per person?
So it depends on your provider. Oh, sorry, Lance, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that it depends on your provider. But it can move pretty quickly. I think my appointment yesterday, from personal experience, was a 20-minute time slot. That's when they were kind of booking them. And 15 of that was just the observation time. So it is incredibly quick how fast they can move people through. So I think that they generally will do it between 30 and 20-minute time slots for each appointment.
That's
Lance,
right.
is that,
yeah, absolutely. And it depends on how many vaccinators, how many nurses or other medical folks that they've got providing the injections. So I think, that would be determined after the business links up with a provider in terms of how long to plan a clinic. But, also if there are only 30 employees, that could be done in a matter of a couple hours, depending on the number of vaccinators. So it could be half a day or less. And really also your involvement in terms of passing along information to businesses and members in your area certainly could be, very hands-on in terms of you helping to coordinate and really make it successful and bring multiple businesses together, like that industrial park example. Or it could be, you know, depending on your time, it could be just passing along these resources and saying, please check this out. It's a resource available. So it all depends on your preference.
Awesome, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
I've got one. This is Julie from the Toledo Regional Chamber of Commerce. It's sort of to piggyback on that. I was wondering if that question was prompted in terms of if you're the organizer of the clinic, were you assigning times or simply like collecting the number of people who were interested and then providing that to the provider to set appointment times?
Again, it will depend on your provider, but really, they have really sophisticated systems. I've learned, especially the retail pharmacies have been incredible. Lance, I don't know, same with the hospitals. A lot of them have the software that you're kind of describing to delineate all of the times and do that. So it really does depend on your provider partner. But in terms of what I think is the time commitment for you guys and pulling these off is just gathering the bodies. We need people who are willing, people who want it.
With you. Thanks.
And especially for smaller businesses, I keep thinking about who you know, maybe in that 50 or less category. They are probably likely to not be able to find a provider partner to come to them because of their size. They're not at that critical mass. So if you guys can all come together and cluster like that, we know that you guys will find one of those big providers who can do some of the heavy lifting for you all. So there's a big strategy in that, which is why, again, we've kind of called the group together today. So that's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Julie, this is Holly from Delaware again. The other challenge are for our manufacturers specifically who run second and third shifts.
Yeah.
Well, any business is fine. You know, I mean,
you almost wish we had a vaccine mobile, right? That could pull up to a parking lot and any shift. So that's presented an issue as well.
That's a great point. And many of our providers, and I'm more familiar with our local health departments, but they have worked with businesses to provide vaccine clinics on or about shift change. So when people are coming or going, some of our partners up in North Central Ohio have worked with seasonal farm workers, and they try to make it as convenient as possible for those individuals to, you know, not cut into their workday, but do it, you know, at the beginning or end of a shift change. So that's absolutely an ask that you could make to the provider and say this business, this time works best for them, or this is when the most people would be available. So those are details that you can work with the provider on.
And I also found it in my experience in working with, I live in Delaware County, the Delaware County Health Department. They were able to do weekend evenings for us, and they got out, they put the call out and got volunteers from the medical field in our area. And so they have nurses and doctors who came and volunteered with the health department to give those shots on that weekend and evening hours. So it depends on what the health department can do. You know, they might be a little more flexible than another provider. But again, they're also hosting their own clinics as well. So you might want to contact your county health department or regional health department and say, can I help promote the clinics that you're already doing? And that's another way you can help us, is by getting the word out by the about those other clinics that are already happening, you know, and provide directions to your members of how they can, you know, participate or where the clinics are going on. But that's another way that you all can help us get the information out, is just sharing the information. And yes, we are recording this, and I will be sending it out to you all. And you can send this to your members, because maybe it'll trigger an idea that they might have, you know, to be able to partner with local chambers. And I'll also have some other resources that I'll be sending out after this call.
Julie, that's a great idea about promoting the clinics in our, communications to members that others are doing. One of the things that we're doing, I'm sure everybody on this call is doing the same thing. We did a series of webinars with our health department, with a legal professional. When the questions first came out on like, am I allowed to give time off to my employees, like all those kinds of things. And our next round of those are shifting into, closed and open pods, and what does a member need to know if they, want to do those. So again, the health department is on those, a legal professional is on those, and then we have some businesses who have done those already to kind of bring in their best practices. Like Holly, like you were saying, the things that you learned along the way. So, just, even hosting those webinars for businesses who are interested. So this is great information today. I really appreciate the time that you put into making this available to us.
Great.
Thank you for your willingness to do this and work in your community, get folks vaccinated.
Yeah.
We know that you guys are key partners in getting this done and bringing vaccines to people. And kind of piggybacking off of what Julie said, we are starting to see a pivot. It's like a slow turning ship, but it's turning with some of our larger providers like the local health departments and the hospitals. And there is more willingness because the demand has dropped off for those folks who want to come to the local health department to get their vaccine. So there's been a big free up, and I think in some staff, not in every health department, and it varies. And I'm sure Lance can tell you a little bit more about that. But I think there is a little bit more willingness now from our provider partners to come on site. And again, if you can't find anybody to come on site for you, please reach out to me. I have a team that I'm building right now that will be completely dedicated to matching businesses to providers and to help meet your needs. Because again, this is the priority for the governor right now, is to get shots in arms and make this as easy as possible for you all. And I want to be a resource. My team wants to be a resource. And I'm sure Lance has, the same similar sentiments about the folks over at the Department of Health who've been really wonderful to work with.
And I'll include Emma's email.
Yes, please.
So that if you need to reach out to her. So in the email that I send you, it'll have Emma's email in it too. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? Great. I just want to say thanks to all of you for joining us today. Again, we'll send the recorded version out along with some resources that includes Emma's email, and just help us promote this, because all along, we've been saying Ohio wants to reopen. We want to fully reopen. We want to get our restaurants and bars and our events, our event locations up to full capacity. And we want to keep our schools open and open into the fall. And so if you could get the word out to stop the spread, that would be great. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.